Protect your online privacy with NordVPN. Browse securely, access content from anywhere, and keep your data safe with military-grade encryption. NordVPN.com. That's NORDVPN.com. Not just a glove, it's a 44 Pro. Crafted with dedication, made for performance, and built to last. Get your custom glove today at 44pro.com and experience the 44 Pro difference. That's 44pro.com, 44 Pro.
Our patented handles were launched in 2018. We continue to push the boundaries of strength training. Join us in making your training more natural and effective. Visit Engels90.com to learn more and revolutionize your workout.
Looking for tickets to the hottest shows, games, and events? Ticket Liquidator is your one-stop shop for great prices, no hassles, and guaranteed tickets. Whether it's sports, theater, or concert, for the best seats at the biggest events, start with Ticket Liquidator today at ticketliquidator.com. Ticket Liquidator.
Introducing Bark in the Belly Premium Dog Food. 100% of profits go to help dogs in need.
Over 30% of adults struggle with chronic foot and joint pain, and many face mobility limitations as they age. But a revolutionary Comfort First slipper has taken the wellness world by storm. Try Cloud Slides and feel you are walking on the clouds. Cloud Slides.
Happy Monday. It is the Wicked Boston Show on the Rogue Media Network. I'm your host, Cam Stuart. Zach Burke keeping us on the air from behind the glass 5 days a week, live on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts as well. It is a fully loaded show for you today on this Monday. We're going to talk Patriots. They didn't play yesterday, but we're going to look at the results from week 14 in the NFL and how this kind of tears out for who the biggest threats are for the Patriots in the AFC. We will also have the Red Sox rumor mill. Jackson Roberts of Sports Illustrated joins us right before the winter meetings. Things are going to be moving and shaking over the next couple of weeks. Why the Pete Alonso saga just got a little bit more interesting. Plus, the first time in like ever. The Bruins have multiple prospects who are tearing up the NCAA, but yet there is still one that nobody is talking about yet that could be one of the great seals of Don Sweeney's tenure. All that and more coming up on this episode of the Wicked Boston Show with Cam Stewart. We start where we start. It's in the thumbnail. It's why you're here. The talk around Boston all season long have been these Patriots. They're just marching in 11-2, coming off the bye week at their biggest game in years coming up on this Sunday. And Patriots fans are rightfully already thinking about the playoffs. I think that's fair at this point. Number 1 seed, AFC Championship, Super Bowl. Yeah, it's probably a bit too far. But playoffs, yeah, they're going to be there and they're going to be playing at home. It's going to take a collapse to not be a top 2 seed. Not impossible, but it's something you start thinking about. And now, based off what we saw yesterday in the weekend that was in the NFL, things might have changed in terms of the teams that you were worried about coming into Foxborough in the AFC divisional round. Like on paper, it looked like a bad result for the Patriots as they were sitting on the couch. You know, Denver won, Buffalo won. You didn't really gain anything except the rest. So that said, let's do it. Who were the biggest threat to the Patriots after week 14? Y'all thought I was crazy. Y'all thought I was crazy for saying the Texans. Look out for the Texans. Don't want to see the Patriots playing the Texans in January. Am I crazy now? They just made a statement again last night. They go into Kansas City when the Chiefs needed a win, and they suffocated them. They grabbed it by the balls and won that game. Do you understand how hard that is? I know this is not your slightly older brother's Kansas City, but against that coach and that quarterback in that stadium in December, when the home team is desperate, that is damn impressive, man. An absolute statement win, and that defense showed that they might just be the best in the entire league. They're right there with Denver. But they hold Mahomes and company in a game that they need to 10 points and pick off the Golden Boy 3 times. Here they are, winners of 5 in a row. And honestly, I think they can stay close with anybody in the AFC in a playoff game. Anybody. I think the defense is that good. And you know, you only scored 20 points. It wasn't like this huge outburst by the Texans offense, but CJ Stroud was making some plays in that game, outside the pocket plays, like when they needed it in the second half. He's ad-libbing. He was making some things work. We've seen it with playoff games before. You get a couple of those and a stout defensive effort, you can get by in the first week or two of the postseason. Can't win a conference championship doing that. Obviously can't win a Super Bowl doing that. But with the way the Texans played in that game, yeah, they can beat just about anybody. And when it comes to the NFL postseason, unless you have that generational kind of quarterback, like, you know, a Patrick Mahomes or a Brady before him, it basically comes down to who is healthy and who is hot going into January. The Texans might just be both of those things. So in my top tier of teams I'm worried about the Patriots playing in the AFC divisional round, Houston is still right there. Of course, the other team in the tier of can be a first-round matchup and can give you some nightmares is still the Buffalo Bills. They're still there, man. They're still in that discussion, full stop. Now, obviously, we'll learn some more this week about the Patriots playing them in December. You know, that's what kind of kicked off. It did kick off this win streak. That was all the way back in late September. Yeah, I think it was because the Red Sox have lost more recently than the Patriots have. So these are two different teams. So we will see. And what I'm worried about before even the playoffs is that this is shaping up to be really eerily similar to 2021. Breakout quarterback, Mac Jones, Drake May, win by 3 in Buffalo in a primetime game. That was that weird weather, windy one, 10-7 on Monday Night Football. This was the 23-20 on Sunday Night Football. You can put them in their place with a December game in Foxborough. In this case, you can win the division. And you could see them again in January. Both those things happened in 2021 as well. Both things went poorly. And it did really bad. And I will say, Patriots fans were about as confident in that team at that time as they are with this team now. Not quite there, but pretty close. What we learned is that that team was a fluke. I don't think this team is. But, man, he was facing the Bengals defense, which we know is historically bad. But Josh Allen was cooking basically perfect on Sunday. 6 incompletions, 3 touchdowns, 250 yards. He ran for a touchdown. He's running for first downs with the game on the line. Like, that was vintage MVP level Josh Allen. And what did I just say about Houston? It's the teams that are healthy and that are hot going into the playoffs. Unless you have a top 3 quarterback in the league. Buffalo might have all of it. They might be healthy, hot, and have the quarterback and not having Kansas City. And don't discount that, by the way. Don't discount that when you look at the Bills over the next month plus, over the next 6 weeks here. The fact that the boogeyman is not waiting at the end of the hallway. That could completely change how the Bills take this thing. And look, I think the Patriots are a better team than the Bills. And I think they deserve to be the AFC East champions because I think they'll beat them next week. But, like, that absolutely changes Buffalo's ceiling, I think. The fact that Kansas City is really not going to be in that mix. They'll make the playoffs, but they're not going to be waiting for you in the AFC championship game. That's where the football gods may be like, hey, New England, your time's coming again. But there's no Patrick Mahomes here for Buffalo. This is the time. This is the one time that they've got. Just saying, man, like that defense, you can get after them. Certainly you can. Joe Burrow did yesterday, even at not 100%. But if the Bills can run the ball as effectively against the Patriots as they did really the last couple of weeks, but this particular game against the Bengals, then yeah, that's going to be an early exit. That might not mean AFC East champions, in fact, because I think they'll come in and beat you if they can run the ball like that. But the Patriots do still have the best rush defense in the league, despite a shoddy last few weeks. I'm telling you, though, there's an extra confidence in Buffalo. Not having Mahomes and not having Kansas City just lurking over them. The other one that's real interesting is the Chargers, because there's not a lot of talk about the Chargers, right? They're sitting there at 8-4. They're not going to win their division because Denver's there, and they're not necessarily playing their best football right now. But good coach, good defense, good quarterback. How do we think about the Chargers? Well, I think the good assessment of them is how they're looking tonight on Monday Night Football. They're 2.5-point underdogs at home to a team with the same record, the Philadelphia Eagles. And yet no one's really going to push back on this because from the NFL I've watched this year, the Eagles are a better team than the team formerly known as the San Diego Superchargers. I don't love the prospect from their standpoint of coming across the country and playing in cold weather with a quarterback who hasn't proven anything in the postseason. I get it. Drake May hasn't either. I know. I'm fully understanding the irony of that statement. But it is a lot easier for a young quarterback to play at home. Kansas City, though, when we talked about contenders, how about pretenders real quick? Kansas City, as big a win as that was for Houston, it was just as bad for the Chiefs. They are getting circled by the vultures here. I don't think they missed the postseason because there's a lot of things that kind of need to go wrong. But we know you're going to have to cut the head off the beast of this guy. Like, this is Michael Myers. And they're pretty close to that at 6-7. But you're really going to have to, like, point of the dagger in their throat to get Kansas City out of there. But the one that really fascinates me, last team I want to talk about, is the Baltimore Ravens, man. What is going on with them? They are a shell of themselves right now, even with Lamar back. They just don't look good at all, and they don't look very interested in being good. They're also sitting there at 6-7. They're not going to win the division now. Pittsburgh just basically took that off their finger. And they've lost back-to-back to divisional opponents. Like, this looks like a team that was broken in week 1 in Buffalo, and they're just going through the motions for the next 16 weeks. Is this it for John Harbaugh? Because all we heard for weeks and weeks was, man, this Patriots schedule is easy. Wait till Lamar comes back and they got to face the Ravens after facing the Bills. Are you worried about facing the Ravens right now? I'm sure as hell not. Because I think the Patriots would blast the Steelers if they got another chance at them, and they just took out the Ravens. But with Harbaugh, man, like, has this run its course? You've had a 2-time MVP quarterback. You've been loaded with talent the last 5-6 years, just loaded. And you made one conference championship game, not even a Super Bowl. I don't know, man. So Baltimore is suddenly a team I do not worry about at all. Indy was in that boat last week. It certainly doesn't get any better for them with their quarterback out for the year. And I absolutely will not bet on Trevor Lawrence winning a playoff game in Foxborough. So tell me, who do you think is the biggest threat to the Patriots in the AFC? Let me know in the comment section below. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. Of course, we come at you live on YouTube every weekday, noon Eastern time, and then we're available wherever you get your podcasts as well. Your lunchtime alternative to Boston Sports Talk Radio right here on the Wicked Boston Show with Cam Stewart. When we come back, we got to talk Red Sox rumors because, man, are they heating up in the coldest time of year. It's friggin' 9 degrees outside, but all I can feel is the hot stove of Red Sox baseball. Pete Alonso, that's going to take some maneuvering. We're bringing in our guy, Jackson Roberts of the Red Sox on SI, to talk it all over. That's coming up next on the Wicked Boston Show.
WhyPersonalLoans.com. Request a loan anytime. Our partners can offer loans up to $35,000 with varying rates and terms. Review your loan offer with no obligation and decide what works for you. Visit PersonalLoans.com today.
Unlock a world of convenience with Mully Box, your one-stop solution for personalized subscription boxes delivered right to your door. Each box is tailored to your taste. Mullybox.com. That's MULLYBOX.com.
I know you're gonna love this Kodak Dot Plus printer. You guys just connect it to your smartphone. I can assure you, you are going to love this printer as much as my family has. You guys have to check it out for yourself.
I am obsessed with helping business owners increase their traffic and turn it into profit through the power of Pinterest marketing. It's this amazing platform where people are looking for ideas, inspiration. They have a problem and they're actively looking for a solution.
Bubble wasn't here. I don't know what people would be doing, like making PowerPoints or something. I love that I can sit down and build something the way that I think it should be built.
Bubble turns ideas into fully scalable apps. Try Bubble today.
At Mapiful, we believe in celebrating your journey. Our unique personalized products are designed to boost your confidence. From custom home decor to meaningful gifts, we help you cherish the memories that make you who you are. Visit mapiful.com and start celebrating your story today.
Welcome back, Wicked Boston Show with Cam Stewart here on Rogue Media Sports Network. I'm your host, Cam Stewart. Zach Burke behind the glass, keeping us on the air 5 days a week live on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts as well. It is time to talk some Red Sox. Yes, second week of December, which means Christmas could be coming early to Red Sox fans once again. The winter meetings are here in MLB, and this is where the Red Sox make the moves. Chris Sale, Garrett Crochet, Carlos Narvaez, Tyler Thornburg. This is where the Red Sox do business. And when the Red Sox are doing business, there's only one person we can bring onto this show, and that is from Sports Illustrated, Jackson Roberts. Jackson, great to have you back on the show. And so much of this has been Alex Bregman and Pete Alonso and to some extent Kyle Schwarber and Joe Ryan. But now the rumors are heating up for Pete Alonso. You wrote about it for Sports Illustrated, and it brings up kind of an interesting deal here where Pete has the third most home runs of anybody in MLB the last 6 years, only behind Judge and Schwarber. Decent reputations as power hitters. Red Sox need one of those from the right-handed side. Pete Alonso fits that, but you will have Tristan Casas coming back. He plays first base. How does this work?
I mean, I think it works well if they both stay. And first of all, if you're getting a Pete Alonso, your priority is obviously getting him 155, 160 games, whatever it may be. But Tristan Casas, I mean, it's not like he's some sort of Gold Glover at first base. And if he is, back in the fold, healthy by spring training, ready to go for the full season and not traded, which is something we have to at least consider as a background possibility here, then I think it works well for him to get off his feet. They really could do something close to a 50-50 split. And you get Casas out of the lineup against lefties potentially, if that's something they're still interested in doing. You get Alonso just some days off his feet because he's going to be 32 next year. And it's obviously he's not a Gold Glover either. So I feel like by the time the playoffs roll around, if you're lucky enough to be there, that kind of split first base DH situation could give them the best chance of getting both guys there healthy. And granted, there's a lot that still has to shake out. You have no idea if Alonso is going to sign there. You have no idea really of anything. I think it's a much more, it's an easier fit than it would be with Schwarber for that reason if Casas is still going to be in the picture. At the same time, I mean, I think the larger point here is we've passed the point where Casas has to be taken into account. Right. He's kind of like that secondary piece that once you figure out what big bat you're able to sign, then you sort of figure out how Casas fits into the whole picture. But I do think it's interesting the way it could work with Alonso and Casas potentially being kind of the best thing for each other.
Yeah, you kind of led me into it with that last part there of Casas, homegrown, developed talent, right? Certainly that was a much bigger deal for the Red Sox 3 years ago when he came up than it is now, because now they can do it. They've got a bunch of these guys. So what do you think the patience level is for Tristan Casas? I know there's not like a robust trade market for him or anything, but he's probably going to start the year in AAA coming off this injury. He gets injured every year. What do you think the patience level for Tristan Casas is within this organization?
Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily think it's even a question of patience at this point. I think he has to earn his way back into the equation. I think they're operating right now. They said, how much they still believe in him at the end of the season, but they're out there right now looking for other big bats to sign. They batted him fourth on opening day. If he's fully healthy on opening day, as you alluded to, we don't know whether he's going to be in the majors or AAA, and certainly he wouldn't be batting fourth if he was in the majors. So I think he has to, be granted the opportunity to get back into the equation, because if they get an Alonso, they get a Schwarber, he's definitely, a candidate to be shipped out for a pretty minimal return. But if he stays, then, there's still talent there. I think it's obvious from the 24 homers and the third place rookie of the year finish he had 2 years ago that he could still be something good for this lineup, but he would have to earn his way back into the equation, I think, at this point.
And speaking back to, or linking it back to Pete Alonso here, it's felt pretty quiet on the Alonso front just overall in this offseason. Is that kind of the vibe you're getting? And why is it so quiet for a guy who just goes out and hits 35 plus homers every year?
If I were Pete Alonso, I would be fairly upset about that. I think that's a reasonable characterization, but teams don't love the profile of a guy in his 30s, first base only, leaning towards DH, right-handed bat with kind of, if his bat speed's not already diminishing a little bit, then it certainly would project to in the years to come. So it's a case of you don't get paid for the player you have proven yourself to be in the past. You get paid based on future projections. And that being said, I still think Pete Alonso has a great case to get obviously $100 million, but close to that $150 million range. And I think part of the issue too is that once again, the Mets, I mean, this is not like speculation, but just based on reading the tea leaves, I don't see the Mets being super gung-ho about a reunion here. It seems like they might even be more focused on trying to get Edwin Diaz back right now than they are on trying to make sure Alonso comes back. And everything we've heard about the Mets is defense this offseason. So I think it'd be a mistake for them to let Alonso walk, but I wouldn't be complaining if he ends up in Boston, certainly. So I think we wait to see how this week plays out. Tonight could be a big night. Pete Alonso, I'm not saying he could sign tonight, but I wouldn't rule out the possibility. And at the very least, I would think that during the winter meetings this week, we would start to get more of an idea of which teams are, real players for Alonso and, potentially going to prioritize him, because I think this is kind of the point in the offseason where teams tip their hand a little bit. I think we'll start to find that out this week.
Writing that down. Jackson Roberts, Pete Alonso signs tonight.
That was what I said. Yeah.
Reported, ready to go. Yeah. Just in case, Jackson. And you talk about it. We've talked about the defense kind of ad nauseum when it comes to the Pete Alonso talks, right? Of he's not a great defender. Is he a complete liability?
No.
That seems a bit far, right? He's not. And he's at first base, and this is what's so funny is the Red Sox have vastly needed to improve their defense the last couple of years. Obviously, the outfield defense has gotten a lot better. Infield defense took some strides last year with Trevor Story being healthy for a whole season. But I think you're at a point where you're just man, I don't care. He plays every game. You know what I mean? He plays every game. He's going to be out there. He's not a complete albatross. Let's get that bat in the lineup. And again, we talk about how quiet it's been. The projection for him, Jackson, 4 by 110. I know it's a guy in his 30s and defensively limited, like we just said, but that feels like a bargain. When you consider that Kyle Schwarber is older, and I get he hits more home runs, but he's projected at some people are projecting him $50-60 million higher than that. That would that mean a bargain if the Red Sox can get him for around 4 and 110?
I think if Pete Alonso signs for less than 5 years anywhere, that team is getting a bargain. It's a little bit of push-pull because how are we structuring these deals? And ultimately, I think if it's longer than 3 years, then he's probably not doing the whole opt-out thing. But I think he ends up being really disappointed. And I think I had mentioned in the specific piece about Alonso today that I don't think anyone's getting him for 4-110 right now. I think that would have to be a late January, early February special again, kind of like last offseason. So it would be nice for the Red Sox to get to that point. But the flip side of that is if you wait for that deal to come all the way down, then you might be missing out on other opportunities. You might be missing out on a Ketel Marte trade. You might be missing out on big trades to upgrade the rotation. So I wouldn't necessarily wait around for Alonso's value to drop. If a 5-year deal is what it takes and Craig Breslow has identified him as the guy he wants, then I would give him 5 years right now because you need to build out this entire thing. You need to know pretty much who's going to play every infield position besides shortstop. You don't have any of that locked down right now. And if you can say, okay, Alonso is our at least part-time, maybe full-time starter at first, that lets you figure out the other two positions.
Okay, so is there a term or a dollar number where you, Jackson Roberts, GM, is saying, that's too much for Pete. We need him, but that's too much.
5-150 feels a little bit aggressive. 5-140 seems kind of reasonable. Somewhere right in that range. 5-130 seems like a pretty good bargain, honestly, still, because that's a lower AAV than that 4 for 110. If the breaking news update drops tonight and it says Pete Alonso 5 for 140 to Boston, then I would feel like that's kind of the sweet spot for what it might take. But again, nobody knows what sorts of deferrals and other you can backload these deals, all these things to try and get it under the CBT threshold that the Red Sox impose on themselves. I think is, you could see that number changing by a few million in a lot of different directions.
Yeah. And this is obviously good to be talking about after the last couple of years. The Red Sox does feel like they're going to spend some money here. They've certainly eased their way into that over the last couple of seasons. Last year, a big extension and a big signing with Bregman. Because the last couple of years, you've heard it a lot, I'm sure, on Twitter especially, of the Red Sox are becoming the Pirates. Well, that might mean you get Kyle Schwarber because apparently the Pittsburgh Pirates, yes, those Pittsburgh Pirates have offered a multi-year deal. I would hope it's multi-year, over $100 million for Kyle Schwarber. Doubt that's going to happen. Doubt that comes to fruition. But just that fact that the Pirates are putting their balls on the table like that, allegedly, what does that mean for everyone else in the market?
I don't know. I genuinely don't really know. Like the Pirates, it's nice to hear your name like in the headlines if you're the Pirates, obviously. And I think,
hey, we tried. That's what they'll say. We tried.
Yeah,
we tried.
That's the thing is I just want to know what their biggest signing actually is. To be frank, I don't care if they did or didn't offer $80 million for Josh Naylor. And if they came in way under market for Josh Naylor anyway, they probably aren't coming in at market value for Schwarber. I would guess they put in like a Pete Alonso offer that we were just talking about. I would guess they did like 4 for 110, which is kind of just like, if I were Schwarber and I heard that, I'd be like, all right, thanks, but like you kind of wasted my time. So
So the report says significantly over 100 million, and that in my head, I'm like, that's not over 120.
Yeah,
they would have said.
And then they speculated 116 exactly.
Like we're talking 107 to 114 or 16 or somewhere is technically, I think, what they're getting at there.
Yeah. So are they getting like Jorge Polanco? Are they getting Eugenio Suarez? I think that's like kind of the tier of free agent that we're talking about the Pirates can land. And, maybe you can build a nice little offense around one of those guys and Brian Reynolds' resurgence and some combination of Joey Bard, O'Neal Cruz, and the password. So I'm excited to see where it lands for them because obviously Skeens is incredible. And, that division's, it's got some good teams in it, but it's never been like, dominated by one powerhouse. So I'm here for it, but I'm not believing I see the Pirates spend big money until the big money is, signed, checked, and cashed in.
Oh man, it would be fun for him to play there though. And in that ballpark, my God, that could be. I mean, he can mash him out of any ballpark. But yes, the aesthetics, the old heads, they'd love it. Kyle Schwarber in the pill pod hat, like that'd be great. Looking at the Red Sox infield, last time we had you on, we talked about Bo Bichette. That was a name that was being tossed around. Now it's Ketel Marte. We've heard that kind of off and on, but it sounds more credible in the last couple of days here that there's some Red Sox interest. How do you like Ketel, first off? And second, how exactly are the Red Sox looking at this infield in 26? I know it's different because Bregman is still up in the air, but do you think there are other moves to be made on this infield?
I definitely think that if Bregman comes back, you're making at least one other move. And same with an Alonso signing. I don't think you're just grabbing one of those free agents. And maybe it's one of the, I think a dream scenario would be like an Alonso plus Ketel Marte, or maybe a Bregman plus Ketel Marte. But it wouldn't shock me if it's like Marte and Okamoto, or Okamoto and Bregman, or something like that. But I don't think it's just one move. And I don't know. The Marte stuff is like, it's kind of similar. I'll believe he's getting traded like when there's more about it. Like I could see it happening because obviously there was some like clubhouse stuff going on there alongside just the Diamondbacks being in a little bit of a position to trade from their offensive surplus to get some pitching. But at the same time, like he's a top 15 position player in baseball at a minimum if he's healthy. And it's such an affordable contract that I'm not like locking myself into that happening. And we just heard today from Rob Bradford that the Red Sox haven't really like made an advance on Ketel Marte or made any progress there. So it's nice to have like kind of on the back burner as a remote possibility. But from the Red Sox perspective, I'm certainly like much more heavily counting on a move in the Bregman and or Alonso realm of happening than I am of Ketel Marte coming to Boston.
And Bregman apparently not as robust a market as last year. Tigers are kind of balking on that a little bit. So this could be a kind of waited out. This could be another February signing. Is that kind of the way you're feeling?
I don't know about February because I don't think Bregman wants it to drag out that long, but I'm leaning towards like only one or two like major signings happening at the winter meetings this week. I still think it's going to be a big week for teams tipping their hands as to what they're actually trying to accomplish. I think it's going to be a big week for either actual trades happening or big time trade rumors. But the free agent market, like if you told me just Schwarber or just Kyle Tucker signed this week, then I'd be like, all right, I see that. And at the same time, I'm like, can the Red Sox like just tell us like what the number one thing they're trying to accomplish is? Like, that's what I think we can get out of this week. And on the Bregman front, like, yeah, the Tigers not only do they not seem that interested, because he did tell them like no to their face last offseason, but they locked themselves into a $22 million deal this year for Gleyber Torres after he had like a good first half and a pretty mediocre second half. So I don't know, like there's all these, very respectable like reporters who are saying like teams would never do the qualifying offer if they weren't excited about the guy signing it. This year, I'm not sure that was the case. I feel like the Brewers, Tigers, maybe even the Cubs with Imanaga, they got themselves into these, and the Yankees with Trent Grisham, handed out these qualifying offers that they maybe wish they could take back. So interested to see how that affects the rest of the offseason.
Me too. And this is where it gets fun with the winter meetings. This is where it gets cooking. You just mentioned some of the things to look out for. Jackson Roberts of the Red Sox on SI. Certainly he will have you covered throughout the whole week. Before we let you go, though, what does a successful week look like for the Red Sox? Because it might not be big money signings.
Yeah, I think that's a good question, because it doesn't necessarily equate to like Pete Alonso putting on a Red Sox cap or Alex Bregman, etc. But I think as long as we learn that they're not out on the likes of, all the above, Schwarber, Bregman, Alonso, as long as we know that they're not like second place or worse in all three of those sweepstakes, like you can at least keep hope alive on the free agent front. And I do think that like, by the end of the week, you want to see them make at least one more move. I don't necessarily like that could be another trade. It could be, like in a blockbuster sense, like I still think a starting pitching trade is on the table if they're giving up like younger starting pitchers and or Brian Bayo, who just today I was seeing like beat reporters are starting to come around to the idea that Brian Bayo could in theory be traded if they're, grabbing a better starting pitcher than Bayo. So either you sign a big free agent, obviously the weeks of success, you trade for a number two starter of the likes of Freddie Peralta, Joe Ryan, etc., the weeks of success. Otherwise, I feel like you can't call the week a failure if, Schwarber and Alonso and Bregman remain on the table. But I just think we'd like to start seeing the pieces start moving on the chessboard.
I know I said one last question, but you piqued my interest in there with the Bayo talk. What would that look like from your eyes? Would that be like, hey, we'll put Bayo in a trade for Joe Ryan rather than Peyton Tolley or Connolly Early because he's got a good, nice contract, that kind of Braves model contract? Is that the kind of deal that he goes in?
Yes, I don't know if it would be for Joe Ryan specifically. Yeah. I'm so confused about what the Twins are trying to accomplish right now. I really am. So I'm kind of going to leave them out of it for a sec. But the one that intrigues me is Cole Reagans. And I wonder if, because the Royals aren't spending no money and they want to contend right now. And I like, if I were them, I might just take Cole Reagans off the table completely. But clearly they have a desperate need for outfielders and not much money to do it with in free agency. So Bayo plus Duran for Cole Reagans, like I'm intrigued to say that, like, to say the minimum. It may be like a total non-starter for either team. And I'm certainly not like reporting that that's, in the works, but we know those two teams are at least talking to each other about Duran. And we know the Red Sox have been like stingy about it, which probably means they're saying like, we want Reagans or we don't want to talk. So just putting two and two together, that would be the type of trade that I would be thinking about if Bayo has any chance of being moved.
That is some big brain right there. That is some big brain stuff. And I love Reagans. We did it. We went over some of the mock trades Bleacher Report put out the other day. And like, obviously there's the health concern now, the rotator cuff off of last year. And he didn't, he doesn't start full seasons, but the year he did, he friggin' shoved, man. And his baseball savant page looks like communist Russia. It's so red. He's so good. He is such a power strikeout pitcher. To have him behind Garrett Crochet would be phenomenal.
Dude, last year it was like Crochet and Cole Reagans were both plus 350 or whatever in the Cy Young odds. Like they were basically viewed the exact same way coming to last year. If anything, you would have said like Reagans, because he had 2 more years of control and was coming off a 4th place Cy Young finish, you would have said he was like, the more sure thing. So I know this was a weird year. I'm not worried about the ERA at all because his FIP was in the low 2s and he struck out a million guys. But the health is obviously a concern. But yeah, I mean, if the Red Sox could somehow get their hands on him, we'd be dancing.
Oh man, Sonny Gray is your 3 starter after that? Fine, sure, go ahead. That you can still match up in a playoff series with pretty much anybody. The only team in this league I'd be concerned about pitching wise would be the Yankees. So that would be a whole lot of fun. Jackson, I'm just going to say it with the right color hair dye, you could probably fill in for Tyler Childers if he needed to one day.
Oh, appreciate
just
that.
saying, like, a little touch of red, just comb it over to the side. I'm digging the hat. Like, I think you can do that. That could be a moneymaker for you.
My dad is a ginger. And if I ever grow the beard out, it's reddish, but at the same time, my girlfriend tells me I'm going gray on the sides all the time. So I don't know if that's ever happening for me.
Look, that's just showing how wise you are with the gray.
Appreciate that.
Sides. And you can all see how wise he is on Red Sox on SI. Jackson, it's been too long. I so appreciate you coming on, and certainly we'll have to check in. Maybe it's this week if there's a big deal, but we'll have to check in sometime soon on what the Red Sox are cooking here. Appreciate your time.
That sounds like a plan. Thank you.
Anytime. There he goes. Jackson Roberts of Red Sox on SI. Seriously, I messaged him today. I was like, I've just caught up. I've caught up with everything going on in the weekend because that's what I do, man. Like every day when things are hot and every week I'm checking Red Sox on SI and reading Jackson stuff just to get up on all the rumors in this offseason. So I highly, highly advise you do the same. But let me know what you think. What would be a successful Red Sox winter meetings for you? Do you want Pete Alonso? Would you be willing to trade Brian Bayo for Cole Reagans? Let me know in the comment section below. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. Of course, we come at you live every weekday, noon Eastern time on YouTube, and then wherever you get your podcasts as well. It's time to talk prospects. The Bruins have all kinds of guys ripping apart the NCAA, but there's 2 in particular that are shocking the whole country and could be contributors for the big club sooner than you think. We'll tell you about them next on the Wicked Boston Show.
Dive into adventure with scuba.com, your ultimate destination for top-tier scuba and snorkeling gear. Whether you're a beginner or a pro, trust scuba.com for the best in diving equipment and expert guidance. Explore now at scuba.com. That's SCUBA.com. Scuba.com.
It's the Restore Clarity Focus Patch, my little secret weapon for staying sharp, focused, and on task. Each box comes with simple instructions inside, so you always know exactly how to apply it. Each patch lasts for 3 days. I love that I can wear it all day.
This is what $500,000 in a duffel bag looks like. Actually not real. That's because it's actually prop money. It looks realistic from a distance, but up close you can see it says for motion picture purposes. Visit propmoney.com today to get your money seen or money shot right with Prop Money Inc.
Golf Partner, the world's largest golf store network, offers more purchasing opportunities than anywhere else. With a dominant market share and a wider selection of quality secondhand golf clubs than our competitors, we make it easy for you to enjoy the game with affordable, top-quality equipment. Golf Partner.
It doesn't matter if your investment budget is small or big. All you need is Benzinga Pro and its powerful news alerts, price tracking, and portfolio monitoring. Subscribe now, and we'll skyrocket your portfolio today.
Experience with the Bosley MD hair regrowth kit was amazing. It was easy to use. It let me take off my hat. I could go in public and have my picture taken and feel normal again.
BosleyMD.com.
Back here on the Wicked Boston Show with Cam Stewart. I'm your host, Cam Stewart. Zach Burke is behind the glass, keeping us on the air 5 days a week, live on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts as well. Special thank you to Jackson, man. Jackson Roberts always comes on and always just absolutely delivers. There was even some questions I couldn't get to because we have so many. He really knows his stuff inside and out. Like I love having Jackson on to talk Red Sox. We have some great Red Sox guests on this show, truly. But now we got to talk to some Bruins, man. We got to shift our focus to the Bruins and the prospects that this team have. They're just churning out at this point. The Bruins prospects are dominating the NCAA. James Hagan's better at a point a game pace now, coming off his first career hat trick. Chris Pelosi, top 10 in goals in the NCAA, playing at Quinnipiac. And then there are these two guys that are kind of forgotten about, who in their own way are dominating the NCAA as well. How about Will Zellers, man? That's someone that Bruins fans aren't talking about yet. And people talking about NHL prospects are not talking about yet. Will Zellers, all he does is lace up his skates, hits the ice, and puts the puck in the net. All the kid does is score goals. Wherever he's playing, he scores goals. As a 19-year-old last year in the USHL, he wins the league MVP. He sets the goals record for the Green Bay Gamblers, 44 goals in the USHL. And I was guilty of this, but everyone's saying, oh, just a goal guy chasing a Cy Young. He's not driving play. Can he do it at that next level? It's going to be a real rude awakening for him when he gets to college, North Dakota. Hadn't missed a beat. Still chasing that Cy Young, okay? But in 16 games, got 15 points, 10 goals, 5 assists. Scored an absolute beauty highlight reel of a goal on Friday night for the team formerly known as the Fighting Sioux, and won the NCHC Rookie of the Month in the month of November. Which is why it's crazy that, A, he was basically what looked like a throw-in deal, part of the deal for Charlie Coyle going out to Colorado, and the Avs giving up their really only prospect in this kid, Will Zellers. But what's even crazier than that, it is nuts that Will Zellers did not make the preliminary World Juniors roster for the USA. Like, I'm sorry, man. There are not 15, 20, 18, I think is how many they sent out. Better skaters, better forwards than Will Zellers playing in the U.S. right now. That's a guy who you can send to the tournament, stick him on the fourth line, and you know what he's going to do? He's going to score goals. He's going to put the biscuit in the basket. It's just what he keeps doing. So it's nuts. They released their preliminary roster, and I could not believe Will Zellers wasn't on there. By the way, you did have James Hagan's for the Bruins. That's the only one that they're sending to Team USA, allegedly. But Zellers absolutely deserves consideration. And I think this would be his last chance. I think this is his age 20 season. But it's just insane to me that Zellers is not part of that team to go for a third straight gold medal. And so I say it looked like he was a throw-in in that deal. That was Charlie Coyle for Casey Middlestat and Will Zellers. But I think it's becoming more and more obvious that the Bruins were calling Colorado, or when Colorado was calling them on Coyle, they were asking for Zellers. I don't think Zellers was the throw-in. I think Middlestat was the throw-in. Who's playing better hockey as of late? I'll bite my tongue on the Casey Middlestat criticism for right now, but he's a very underachieving player at a big-ass cap hit. What's it, 5.75 for another year after this? That was 2 years on his contract when Colorado traded him. That was not, I believe he was the throw-in rather than Will Zellers, who's cheap, costs you nothing, and could finally replenish your prospect pool. The other guy that is stunning those following prospects around the NHL is Dean Letourneau. And again, got to put the hand up a little bit. I wasn't fully out on Dean Letourneau, but you couldn't help but give him some shit, in terms of what he did last year. It sounds harsh to say about an 18-year-old, but yeah, he played in 36 games. He had no goals and 3 assists. So it's more not really giving Letourneau shit as much as it was giving the Bruins shit for drafting him in the first round and sending him off to play in BC when clearly he just wasn't ready to play in Hockey East. Like most 18, 17-year-olds are not ready to play in Hockey East. But here comes the Dean Pot, as they're calling him. Dean Letourneau is exploding. 17 points in 16 games and driving play. 9 goals, 8 assists. Right? He's on pace to, he's already smashed his point output from last year, right? But he's on pace to be a better than a point a game player. And it's not just happens. The guy is shooting. He's got an electric shot this year. Like he is scoring from anywhere in the offensive zone. He's using his body well. He's chirping guys. Like he's getting into it. Someone lit a fire under Dean Letourneau. And I'm very happy about it because, again, this is a guy obviously very disappointing last year. Didn't have the best dev camp for the Bruins was what we heard. And yet here he is, man. Just dominating in Hockey East. Kind of winning games for BC. He and James Higgins are undoubtedly their best 2 players this year. And they're both products of the Boston Bruins. That is huge because he looked like a total bust after 1 year. To the point where those of us who weren't ready to completely write him off as a bust were thinking, he's like 4 years away. You know what I mean? And at that point, you're not expecting much from, a 22, 23-year-old rookie. But now it doesn't look that way. And if he continues on this pace after this season, he might only have, another season at BC, if that. If he continues to be a point-a-game guy, you could see him in the AHL next year. Probably not. Probably needs another year at BC and probably playing for Team Canada at the World Juniors. But, man, has that kid come along. And, man, does this prospect pool look good for the Bruins for the first time in ever? Let me know what you think in the comments section below. Who are you most impressed by among the Bruins prospects this year? Let me know in the comments section below. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. It's completely free, and about 90% of you watching on average aren't actually subscribed to the channel. It is your daily lunchtime alternative to Boston Sports Talk Radio right here on the Wicked Boston Show with Cam Stewart. Thank you to Zach Burke. Thank you to Jackson Roberts. Thank you to everyone who watched today. And we will see you tomorrow on the Wicked Boston Show.
Relax with Hemp Delicious. Organically grown hemp, massively blended with delicious organic herbs, responsibly sourced for their holistic benefits. Each sip offers calming, antioxidant-rich wellness. Brewed just for you. Sip the calm with Hemp Delicious.
At Open Goal USA, we're revolutionizing training for both soccer and lacrosse with our innovative portable rebounders. Perfect for players of all ages and skill levels. Visit OpenGOAAALUSA.com and elevate your training today.
Farmhounds offers natural treats and chews made with quality products that support family farm, regenerative agriculture, and humane farming practices. Give your dog the best with wholesome, organic ingredients that promote health and happiness. Shop now at farmhounds.com.
Get paid faster with Bill, the easiest way to send, receive, and manage your payments. No more delays, no more hassle. Whether you're a freelancer or a business, Bill makes payments seamless and secure, simple, fast, and reliable. Sign up today at Bill.com. We are Rogue Media Sports.